How you doing? Yeah. I'm very excited to be here. I say that all the time, but I'm so excited. My name is Andrea CK. I want to welcome you. Thank you all for coming. I've been putting together the Comedy Project workshop and review for about 4 months now. And we have a great show for you tonight. There is some audience participation stuff, so you can go in your Rolodex and see if you have a good joke. You don't do F-bombs. Okay, but you can tell us your best joke later on, okay? What do I want to say? Thank you, Lava, for inviting me to put this particular project together, because it's been a really great gathering for people that kind of are a little funny and want a little support in that, and I'm just very happy that finally came to pass. So I'm going to open the show tonight. We have four other artists that are going to present, and then at the end we're going to have a gallery exhibit, which is entitled Portraits of a Woman Under Pressure. And I am the woman, and I will be telling you about the portraits, and then we're just going to end with a gallery, kind of a walkabout. So I hope that is agreeable for you. It doesn't look like people have serious mobility issues, but there are 2 exits. That's one of them. There's another one through the basement downstairs. You'll raise your hand if you know how to get out the basement door. And there's just a few people, Julian, you know, don't you? And then the people that are staffing tonight, which is Lindy and Clara. And so you'll follow them out if we need to leave in a hurry. There's a bathroom in back, it's unisex, and avail yourself of that if you need. So, are you guys ready to go? Here we go. Okay, clap it up. Clap it up for Andrea. You know the old saying about comedy that tragedy plus time equals comedy. You know that one? No. So I've been doing research myself on a new vein, which is irritation over time results in snark.
What's snark?
Snark?
Oh, snark.
A little mean, a little judgy, a little this and a little that.
Yeah.
So now, I'm going to share with you tonight this stuff that I am afraid to actually say at comedy shows, because I want you to like me, and I want you to think that I'm a nice person. I've been holding it in. I'm about 80% snark. Eventually, I come to acceptance and compassion and love and pray for and all the holy things that we rabbis are required to do, but the first draft is snark. So I'm going to be telling you some of the things lately that I have found irritating. I hope you like me after the show. Your dog is not your best friend. They are trying to stay on your good side because you have an opposable thumb and you know where the can opener is. You seem to have an ability to make the cans keep appearing. Your dog has Stockholm Syndrome. They roll in shit because that's how they want to smell. And they don't like you taking them to the groomer. How are they going to catch a friggin' squirrel smelling like a strawberry? They don't like that you watch them poop. And this, good boy, is a good boy, good boy, good boy, good boy. What are you talking about? What is this good boy, good boy, good? They think you're emotionally needy. That you're the needy. You're a good boy, you're a good boy. They have no idea what you're talking about. We're doing okay?
Yeah.
So far?
Yeah.
Because I have like If they start booing me, say this. No, it's not a real one. It has to be authentic. Comedy has to be true or it's not funny. Okay, moving on to things that irritate me. My ex. My ex. God bless him. His name is Ron, in case it comes out that way. Ron. During the last apocalypse, I found this very annoying. He bought 2 5-gallon buckets of people kibble. That's my transition from the dog jokes. That's what it looks like, and it has all the nutrition that you would need in the post-apocalyptic period for a couple of months. But it was very stupid. We just recently threw it out when he was moving. I helped him move. And because we all know, this is why it was stupid. It was a waste of money, and we all know, he knows, in a world without Duncan brownie mix, he would rather be dead. I sent him my new material because we always had the comedy thing. Everything else was very challenging, but we had kind of a funny repartee, so I sent him my material. He usually likes being the center of attention. That is, in our marriage, he liked when it was all about him. So I've been sending him my new material, and I always have new Ron materials, so because I'm very needy, I want people to like me. I called him and I said, "Did you hear my new set? I have new material about you." And he said, "I didn't hear anything new, same old, same old." And I realized this guy, he still doesn't listen to me. I mean, he doesn't listen to a thing that I say. It's just mental. And I think it might actually, I think it kind of goes deer in the headlight because I'm critical of him at times. For example, this is new material. He was really in touch with his feeling. Now we're going to transition from Ron to old people. Here we go. At my age, starting a new relationship, I think it's important to look into the best if used by date on any potential partners. If they are wearing a medical bracelet, you have to flip it over and see if there's an expiration date. Here's something else stupid. I help people downsize. Why do they let old people shop at Costco? I have thrown out, in just the few that I've done, the few downsizings that I've done, multiple cases of 16-ounce jars of peanut butter. A 1-pint jar could be a life supply for these people. Verizon, I can't hate Verizon enough. Oh my God, who hates Verizon? Oh, good Lord. Took me a month and a half to stop being a customer of Verizon. I do believe I talk to people in every single call center that they have. I talked to a guy named Carl in Islamabad. There was Francine from Mexico. I think that was notching towards an actual person who could help me, but the actual person who could help me was a person named Sheldon from Jamaica. So I got no customer service in 3 different languages. I'm not going to bore you with the details because I'm saving them up for a 1-hour special. I have receipts, I have bills, I have copies of emails. It's going to be great. I don't know, who's switched to Mint Mobile? Or do you do the 10 dancing one? You have to pick your celebrity and then go to the phone service that you like. I went with Ryan Reynolds because I think he seems nice. Okay. But Ted's okay. There's some grizzly guy that's pumping something else, but you'll see. Anyways, here's something else I find excruciating. My yoga teacher walks in, sits there, doesn't say a word for an hour. And that's all. Namaste. A monkey could do that. I asked him once, he needed help in the office, and I said, should I apply for the office administrator job? And he went, inquire within. To be very mystical and all that. Oh, speaking of mystical, I've been trying to stay up and stay ahead of the news since, let's just say, for a while now. And I'm impatient. I want to know what's going to happen. So, of course, I've started tapping into psychics and tarot card readers. And they are correct about the same amount of time as the political pundits. Except they were wrong about Clarence stepping down. They were wrong about Kamala. They were wrong about a whole bunch of things. And now I just don't know what to believe. That was a punchline. And I don't know what to believe. All right. I'll work on that one. Sorry. Modern family life. You won't like this. I have a friend who got pregnant through artificial insemination, and then she had her baby through cesarean section. She is not using her hoo-ha correctly. It's another joke in the vein of family life. A couple came to me for pastoral counseling at one point. I'm getting to know them. She has a prescribing therapist for her drugs and a counselor for her social skills and whatnot. He has a prescribing psychiatrist and a counselor. The children, of course, have a counselor. Now they're coming to me. So this family, between them, they have 3 psychological medical prescriptions and 7 mental health professionals. Divorce would be cheaper. Up to them. Speaking about things that annoy me, thank God. I was a congregational rabbi for a number of years before going into comedy, and there was it's like being married to 234 people. Thank God, nothing irritated happened in that 8-year period. Now, any congregants at Temple Israel in Greenfield are going to get that joke, any pastors, but you got to love them. It was in the contract. I'm doing my part for affirmative action. May not be enough to really change the course of racism, but to end it in my lifetime, I follow Black people on Instagram. I'm the affirmative action of TikTok. All right, this I want to lay a little bit of new material on you guys. No one's timing me, so no one's going anywhere. I am one-breasted. I had top surgery and decided to change my mind in the middle. That's not really true. I did it so I could be an Amazon. Do you know the warriors, the women warriors, they cut off their right breast so they could really take aim. And that's why I cut off my breast. I wanted to take aim at breast cancer. That was the punchline. It's okay to laugh. It was many years ago. I'm still standing here. But it was very scary at the time. There was actually, because you're worried it's going to come back. I think if I'd been in a plane crash in those early years after all the treatment course was over, I would have been the only person on a plane that was going down that would stand up and say, yes, I didn't die of breast cancer. And, it's not that I'm irritated about the fluidity of gender identities. I'm actually doing pretty well with all that. I'm kind of keeping track of it. But the first time I met professionally, a person who identified as they, 2 of them came down together and they told me that they had cancer. And I thought, both of them? It's so weird. They're both so young. Did you like that one? Some of them are thinkers, actually. So in terms of my own gender identity, I identify as used to be sexual. I started young, I peaked early, and kind of ended right at marriage. I mean, sexuality is like so far in my rearview mirror right now that I can't even see it with these cataracts. I'll tell you one more thing about sexuality. You know, my kids, I mean, they're paunchy now. They're old. They're eating the adult equivalent of Cocoa Puffs, whatever that kind of health food version of that is. But when they were little, they would constantly question all of our guests, like which body parts they had and which body parts they didn't have and everything. And we were very patient because we thought, you know, they're curious. It turns out they were right. You really can have any combination of, it was like a mix and match sexuality thing. They saw the future coming, that you could have all combinations of different body parts, and they figured it out before me. Okay, I'm going to end with this, something unique. I'm going to bring up the next artist. I did start my life as a gangster's mom. My dad was a gangster, which is sort of like having Paul Bunyan for a dad. And then I became a rabbi. And then I became a country rabbi. The I became is doing a lot of heavy lifting right there. It's doing a lot of work. So I think I was probably, I think I'm probably the only rabbi in Greenfield that actually had a pimp. Do you know what that is? Yeah. It's hard to do comedy because people don't get like the criminal stuff about, they have to explain things as I'm going. Okay, and then, and a fence, do you know what a fence is? Yeah. Oh, there you go, okay. In my family line, at my bat mitzvah. I think I might be the only rabbi in Franklin County that had a pimp and a fence in their family line at their bat mitzvah. So some of this material feeds into the comedy, the cartoon gallery that will be coming up next. But that was my power closer, so clap it up. I do judge you based on which jokes you laugh at. You're doing good. I'm going to bring up my dear friend now, Marion Kellner, who is a masterful storyteller, beautiful wordsmith, and a very good observer of human nature. So clap it up for Marion Kellner.
Does everyone have their cell phones off?
No.
Okay, good. Well, we're going to travel to a different world right now, and I'd like to tell you that I was sitting with a group of friends, and some of whom are married, and they were reminiscing about their marriages. They were in a sort of sweet atmosphere of how good the food was, and the beautiful setting, and the ceremony under the oak tree. And then they turned to me for a story, and I was inspired to tell them the story of my cousin Carol's wedding. My cousin Carol got married late. She was in her late 40s, she might have even been 50. Her mother was around 80. And was, of course, ecstatic that her daughter was finally settling down into marriage. So she invited all of her friends, and all of her friends were about 80 or above. And there were some younger people, and there were cousins such as me and my sisters. And they rented a place, beautiful place in the country that was purposefully built on top of a hill so that there was a beautiful view of the countryside. There was only one road at this place, and this road went up the hill to the banquet hall. It looked out on a very steep, long lawn. And Carol had decided she would be married at the bottom of the hill. When we arrived, my sisters and I in the car, the first thing that we saw was what looked like a little brigade of ants trying to make their way down the hill. These were the 80-year-olds with canes and walkers. And they must have been mathematical geniuses because they were able to figure out the exact degree that they should hold their cane out or their walker out to keep from falling on their faces. But it looked like this was not going to end well. So we stopped the car, run out, and start spotting them. You know, it's like, okay, this one looks pretty steady now. Okay, this one, I think we should go to the bottom. Okay, so finally, they all actually made it to their chairs. There were a lot of bridge chairs set up in rows. It was a June day. It was hot. It was sunny. And there was no water down there. Nothing. They were sitting in the chairs, and the ceremony was supposed to start. But Carol was known for being late, but nobody believed she'd be late for her wedding. Until 15 minutes pass, a half an hour passes, and these women and men with their walkers in front of them are sitting in the chairs, drying up under the sun. You could visibly see them shrinking in their seats and sort of smacking their lips, looking around for some sort of salvation, for which there was none. Eventually, at the top of the hill, Carol arrives. She's tall, she's very good looking in a nice white gown, and she walks regally down the hill without any trouble. Her husband's behind her, her husband-to-be, very large man in black, he's behind, and it's sort of like this vision. At this point, people are thinking they're hallucinating. It couldn't really be her, but it sort of looks like her, you know, so they're like this. And Carol is also known for bickering. So, and she can't stop. So as she's walking down the hill, you could see her lips moving. She's like, sort of criticizing her husband, who she's going to wed for life, the poor guy. And who knows what she's muttering. She comes down under the hill into the only shade there is. There's a hookah there with a canopy for Jewish weddings. And they're in the shade. Everyone else is just sort of, at this point, trying to make sense of whatever's being said. And Carol starts, I think your shoes, you know, you better tie your shoes or, you know, get your tie straight. While she's being married. And the rabbi is there trying to get a word in edgewise. Finally, we get through it, but now they all have to go back up the hill. And they're dehydrated, and they're about half their size. And they're starting to lose sense of what's real and what's not real. And the hill sort of looks like Mount Everest to them. And so Saul Rubenstein, who was the healthiest of them all, he became the leader of the group, and he made his way up. He was very proud of himself. It was an athletic feat for him in his older age. And we're spotting them again, but now they could be falling backward because their walkers and their canes couldn't help them. They made it to the top. Nobody fell. Nobody died. They made it to the first table with liquid that they could find. And they're all standing around it, guzzling, 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 until they sort of plump up again. Now, a couple weeks after this, I came across a very obscure journal. It was called Innovative Ideas for the nursing home in the 21st century. And I was taken by this one article. It was about the Sweet Blossom Nursing Home in Iowa. And the events coordinator there was very imaginative and energetic. She had the residents do water gun fights, you know, like in the summer. She had a 3-legged potato sack race. I think the winning time for the 25 feet was about 5 minutes and 30 seconds. And she had a water slide, and unfortunately that was closed down by the Board of Health. But she was nearing retirement and she wanted to go out with a bang. So she came up with this idea. Her name was Kate Sorkachian. She built a stage in the nursing home rec area. She hired quite a number of Iowan farmers to participate. She hired a band that would play music from their youth, energetic 40s, 50s, that kind of a thing. And her idea was to catapult residents off of the stage to this music, and she called it Airborne. You know, that was the name of the event, Airborne. And so the two very strong farmers would take a resident, they were all female, and throw them as high as they would go, and then they'd land into the arms of another strong farmer and would be sort of conveyed to the refreshment table where there was a punch bowl. And the first person to go was someone who had formerly been a gym teacher, and she was really looking forward to this event, and she had shrunk enough and lost enough weight so she was perfect to be catapulted into the air. And so she called upon her muscle memory, and she actually set the record that stands to this day for the height she achieved when being catapulted off the stage. It was like 10.5 feet. It's never been matched. And she landed in this handsome farmer's arms and got over to the punch bowl, which was a famous punch bowl. They called it Sweet Blossom Nursing Home because of the Sweet Blossom punch. And so I was thinking, after I read this article, I was quite impressed. And I thought, if my cousin remarries, I will suggest this event to get all of the older people down to her new wedding site.
What did I tell you? Marion Kellner. We're coming out there. Now, our next performer is Kate Lewis, and this is her second time on our stage. It's a command performance because after the last show that we did, I called her and I commanded her to come back and do another set. So let's clap it up for Kate Lewis.
Hi everybody, I'm Kate, and I'm an alcoholic. Really, I am. Get this out of here. I'm an alcoholic and a drug addict, and I've been sober for quite a while. But I'm so glad I stopped drinking when I did. It was so expensive, and you know, I needed all that money for my gambling habit. So. All my jokes kind of like have like this vehicle thing in the joke, so let's go on a ride. My husband drives not drives, he has a motorcycle, and I noticed with motorcycles, and you probably noticed this too, when they pass each other, they kind of do a signal or something, right? And I asked him, I said, what's that? Like, that signal? He said, oh, it's just like us telling each other, like, you know, have a safe ride, you know? And I said to myself, how come like regular car people can't, how come we're not doing that? That sounds fun. Like an Alfa Romero, crossing another Alfa Romero, their side would be Tesla, their side would be oversized pickup truck and or expensive sports car, the side would be smart car, 2 smart cars. Mine's a Subaru, little more complicated. We have to hold up our Birkenstocks. Oh man, I'm married, and married to a nice guy. I love him. 24 years now, and I'm so the best thing about marriage is I don't have to date again, ever. So we're going to segue into this. You know that I'm an alcoholic, so I had a pretty wild life. I didn't just sit in my house and drink. Let's put it that way. And, so I had some crazy, loony, wacko dates, and that I'd like to call train wreck dating. So the first one was a guy that I met, and he talked 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 and he talked. But when he came up for air, I said, hey, how's that coffee? We're at a coffee place. He said, it's all right, Helen. I said, my name's Kay. And I started getting really heated on this inside, I wasn't letting him see it, but I fucked him anyway. Second one was the guy that I had a date with. He couldn't start his car without blowing into a breathalyzer. What kind of person drinks so much that they need so many DUIs that they need a breathalyzer? What kind of loser drives drunk? Number one, and then number two, gets caught, right? So I said to myself, and I said to one of my friends, I said, he's not doing it right. So I didn't do him. The other one was a guy that I was eating with at a restaurant, and he takes out his dentures and he puts them on the table, right? I never went on another date with him, ever, because I married him. I told you I was married and I have a couple kids, and my 3-year-old started thinking that my husband was a policeman because he found handcuffs in our bedroom. And I'm glad that he didn't find or go into the top drawer by my drawer, because he would have thought I was a proctologist. That's my time, thanks.
Thank you guys. The air of death bomb. Oh wow. Yeah, I'm excited to get for the first time up on this particular stage in the comedy set. Shannon's appeared with us before, but Shannon Shabbat, am I saying that right? Shabbat? Shabbat, thank you. He was in our first show, but he played a different role, but I heard that he's going to introduce himself.
Hi there. Andrea said this was a costume party. So awkward. All right, I am Shannon. I am going to pass out before I get into my little set here. I'm going to pass out some pom-poms. And I would like you all to, if you're inspired or completely revolted by one of my horrible jokes, please throw a pom-pom at me. So we're going to pass this around, and then once everyone has pom-poms, I'm going to jump in. As those are going around, I will say my introduction is I'm Shannon. I'm doing dad jokes, although I'm not a dad, I'm an uncle, and I am a special education teacher, and I took karate for about a week when I was 10, so I'm super qualified to do jokes. So these are bad jokes. Don't feel bad if there's really lots of awkward silences and pauses, because the point is that they're terrible. But hopefully terrible in the best way possible. So just so I can see what kind of audience you are before I begin in my jokes, is I want to show you something. Look at this.
That's supposed to be legible?
Yes. Sorry, that's probably the reflection from the light. I don't know if that's in it. It says this. All right, people get their pom-poms? Okay, I'm going to begin. Who likes impressions?
Hey.
Yeah, impressions. All right, I got one. Here's my impression of a ceiling fan. Oh my God, I love it. Thank you. You know when you go to the beach and you can press your ear to a shell and you can hear the lovely sound of the ocean? Also true, if you press your ear to a stranger's thigh, you can hear him say, "What the fuck are you doing?" I saw a guy going up a hill with a cart full of horseshoes, four-leaf clovers, and a rabbit's feet, and I thought, wow, he's really pressing his luck. Yes. Do you know why stupid people smile when it's lightning? They think they're getting their picture taken. I'm teaching a math class for short people. You know, making the little things count. Do you know what the first rule of Passive Aggressive Club is? You know what? Never mind, forget it. Elton John brought his pet rabbit to the gym. It's a little fit bunny. Grenade joke. The doctor said I had a peekaboo virus, so he sent me straight to the ICU. I went to a zoo the other day. They only had one animal, and it was a dog. It's a Shih Tzu. There are two snowmen standing outside, and one turns to the other and says, "You smell carrots?" Carrot. What did George Washington say to his men before they crossed the Delaware? Get in the boat. Where does the general keep his armies? In his sleeveys. How many ears does Spock have? 3. The left ear, the right ear, and the final frontier. Thank you. I asked a friend if she knew Old MacDonald's farm had been taken over by artificial intelligence, and she said AI, and I said AI, and she said, "Oh, I'm really good friends with 25 letters of the alphabet. I don't know why. I hate when people really use big words just to make themselves look perspicacious. Okay, this is a three-parter, so buckle up. What is the difference between grapes and elephants? Grapes are purple. I saw a hand up there, and you're like, oh, maybe I don't know. Here's part two. What did Tarzan say when he saw the elephants coming towards him? Here comes the elephants. What did Jane say when she saw the elephants coming towards her? Here come the grapes. Jane's colorblind.
That wasn't even good, bad.
Here we go. A little longer one. So Prince was put under a spell so that he could speak only one word each year. If he didn't speak for 2 years, the following year he could speak 2 words, and so on. One day he fell in love with a beautiful lady. Whole years went by and he just kept saving up words just so he could say one thing to her. He thought maybe he'd call her my darling, but then he wanted to say more to her, so he saved up more words. So every year went by, he saved up words. And so at the end of all these years, he wanted to ask her to marry him. So he brought her to the most romantic place he could find, and he sat her down and he said, "My darling, I love you. Will you marry me?" And she goes, "Pardon?" I got one more. A teenage boy is getting ready to take his girlfriend to the prom. First he goes to rent a tux, but there's a really long line at the tux shop, and it takes forever. He's just waiting in line and waiting in line. So next he's like, oh man, I gotta get flowers. So he heads over to the florist, and of course, because it's prom time, everyone's getting flowers. And there's this really long line at the florist, so he's waiting in line and waiting in line. And then his next thing is, oh, I have to rent a limo. So he goes to the limo place, and guess what? It's a really long line. But he's patient, and he's able to book the limo. Finally, it's prom day, and him and his date are dancing happily, and they're having a great time, and when the song is over, she asks him to get her some punch. So he heads over to the punch table, and there's no punchline.
Are you not entertained? Thank you so much. The next comic I'm going to bring up is an old new friend. He might be the veteran of the group that he's performed in New York, so he's certifiably funny. So let's clap it up for Paul Bennett.
Man, that was a scary introduction. All right, high expectations. But we're doing dad jokes? Let's do that. Okay. Can I do a few dad jokes? Okay. Have you guys heard about the movie Constipation?
No.
Oh yeah, it's not going to come out for a long time. That's pretty good, right? What is the difference between an alligator and a crocodile? An alligator will see you later, a crocodile will see you in a while. That's a great joke. It's not my joke, but some brilliant person. And if pilgrims, okay, 2 more. If pilgrims were alive today, what would they be known for? Their age. similar joke. If Abraham Lincoln were alive, what would he be doing right now?
Counting his pennies.
He'd be saying, please let me out of this coffin. Okay, all right. Scratch that joke. Okay, yeah, this is fun. Okay, I love dad jokes. Dad jokes are great. I feel like dad jokes are awesome. Dad jokes are best when they're like in the moment, you know. And I love like dads who are like super committed to them. You know, they'll do it any moment. You know, their house will burn down. They'd be like, I guess that's the last time I'm cooking. That's pretty good, right? Okay. But okay, so I have some more dad jokes. But you guys, okay? Can we do a few more? 3 more?
Yeah.
Okay. But the only like trick, which you won't even notice, the only thing about these jokes, I wrote them all myself, and they're divorced dad jokes. But it's the same exact thing. You ready? Okay. What is the difference between why can't you trust a jungle cat? Sorry. Why? Because they're either a cheetah or a lion. Like my ex-wife. What character? Why did Santa Claus ask for Kanye West's help on Christmas Eve? Because he heard he was the best rapper alive. She took my apartment, everybody. It was terrible. 2 bedroom. No. What is the difference between pizza and steak dinner? Child support. Those are my divorced dad jokes. Thank you. I love them because, like, I love divorced people. I feel like divorced people are so great because they always talk about their ex as if they were like a CIA agent. You know, they're like, I married this person, and they were great when I married them, but then they turned into the most evil person ever. They're like, I think you just ignored all the red flags when you married them, you know? It's like, didn't you meet them in jail? Like, what are you doing? All right. That was a new joke. But I like doing comedy. Comedy's a lot of fun. I did it in New York City. I did it like 10 years at a very low level in New York City. And it was great. Like I know people who are like Saturday Night Live and doing all these cool things. And it was kind of funny because like I did it, I started doing comedy in my mid-40s, which is like kind of great because like you've already not made it, you know? Like I don't have to worry about making it. So I'm like, I already not made it, you know, I'm good. You know, and like you'd be on these shows with like these people who are like young people who are like trying to do these amazing things, you know, and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm on the bottom of that poster. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm on that poster. That's so great. You know, and I'm doing terrible for like a guy who's trying to get on Saturday Night Live, but I'm doing great for a middle-aged accountant who's doing comedy. Fantastic. And I like to, and I got like, if you get heckled, like one of these other guys that got heckled, they were like really disappointed. I was inspired. Like one time someone heckled me, and he said, "You should be funnier." I was like, "Thank you. That is a really nice thing to say." It's like saying you should just work a little harder, but I believe in you. I'm like, "Thank you. That was very much. That's great." I was telling these guys when I started comedy, I had one funny joke, so I just like bomb, and then I'm like, "Oh, I gotta do that joke." And it was like the worst joke. I hated this joke, but I'll do it. I hated doing this joke. It was, I went to buy a mattress, and they tried to sell me something with memory foam, and I was like, I don't want mattress to remember anything. It's a solid joke, but I hated doing it. Okay. It's good. Okay, it's good. All right. I kind of hate it, but I don't know. But the funny thing about like doing comedy in New York, you had to like at this low level, you had to like sell tickets to get on stage. Like you would go into Times Square and sell tickets, and it was awesome. I loved it because like you'd like be trying to sell. You'd just be on Times Square, just like competing against just like people. Like I was the comedian trying to get on stage. We were competing with like people who just like lie, just to sell tickets. Do anything. So like they asked this guy next to me like, "Who's on your show?" And they were like, "Eddie Murphy's on the show." Then they asked me who's on my show, and they didn't want to lie. And all I knew that was I'd probably be on the show, so I would just say my name as if I was as important as Eddie Murphy. You're like, "Who's on your show?" I'm like, "Paul Bennett's on the show." They're like, "Wow, who's that?" I'm like, "You've definitely seen Paul Bennett before." When you see Paul Benny, you'll be like, I know that guy. It's that guy. The other funny thing about like selling tickets in Times Square is you try to to say hi to people, and sometimes people would just get out of these conferences, they would have name tags on, but they didn't know that. So it was awesome to be like, hey, Bill, you should buy comedy tickets. You're like, how do you know my name? I'm like, it's your name tag, Bill. But I always thought it was a great moment to like change their life. You know, instead of like trying to sell them comedy tickets, you could be like, Joe, you need to run. Get away now. I'm from the future. I have a message for you. Go. I think that's kind of funny. But the other funny thing was like I used to guess about people's lives. That was another funny way to do that, because you'd be like, you know, you guess where people are from. I was pretty good at that. But sometimes it was super easy, because you'd be like, hey, you're from Columbus, Ohio, and you love golf. They'd be like, oh my God, how'd you know that? I'm like, you have a hat that says, I love Columbus, Ohio golf. But I like living here. Living here is great. I feel like it's so nice. Like for one thing, like I love like in New York City. I was an old dad, right? I have like 2 small kids, and I'm 18-year-old also, but I have 2 like kids like 4, 7, and 18, right? But in New York City, I was just an old dad. But around here, I'm a young grandpa. People are like, look at that guy. Okay, right. The other thing I love around here is like, I called the bus company one day, and I was just like trying to get a schedule. I pressed one button, and I was talking to a human being. It was the craziest thing. I was like, are you real? Like, what is going on here? And they're like, we can tell you the schedule. I'm like, okay, great. And I love that, because like in New York City, like you could never do that. You know, you can press all the buttons ever, and you'll never talk to anybody there. But like in New York City, like I would have no chance of running for mayor, right? But around here, if you have enough hustle, you can be like mayor of 5 towns. But like one of them will make you answer the bus line for sure. That was a callback, right? The other thing I love is the recorder. Do you guys love the recorder? Yeah. That is so great. Like, and I just love the headlines on the recorder, because they're the most trivial things ever. You know, they're like, superintendent comes for a second interview. Like that's the, you know, like Old Lane Bridge gets new lights. You know. But I figured like how to make these like New York headlines, you know, so I could feel familiar. And I just do it. So like a little practice you could also do if you want to change any local headline into a New York City headline. You just add, and 3 people died. It's the best. You could be like, there's a new Ferris wheel at the fairgrounds, and 3 people died. Like, it totally works. It's great. And the other thing I love about up here is like people are good at a lot of things. Like in New York City, you could just be good at one thing, and you could get away with it. But here you gotta be like good at so many things. Like I tried to, and I'm bad, like I have to learn all these things. Like I tried to buy a car, and the guy was like, oh yeah, the problem with this car is the transmission's not so great. And I'm like, oh yeah, I could tell. He's like, oh, you're just changing the radio. I'm like, that. Yeah, I know, I also like, this isn't like a verbal thing, but like, I had this funny thing recently where I got invited to a destination wedding. Has anyone? Yeah. But it was in Hartford. I'm like, what? That's not a destination wedding. Like, I'm like, Hartford throwing around the word destination wedding is like, that's like when McDonald's starts throwing around artisanal. You're like, not really. Yeah. Like, if you put in Google Maps, if you put like Hartford destination and wedding in Google Maps will be like, yeah, not really. Come on. We're not. I can give you Hartford or destination wedding, but not both. Funny. Okay, that's joke 1. Okay. That's just 2. Okay. I don't know. Anybody divorced? Wrap it up. Okay, great. Okay. This is a funny joke. Is my daughter? We were talking to my aunt, right? And we asked her how long she breastfed her kids for, and she said she breastfed them until they were 10. months old. I was like, you can't pause there. It's a very important pause. You go from like someone in Manhattan to like someone in a Conway drumming circle. It was a very weird experience, And I feel like pauses are very important. You can't be like, Joe, he just died. His hair red. It looks terrible. But he had a massive stroke of luck because his favorite sports team is a red color. And he went to the sports game, and guess what? This beautiful model was proposed to by a nerd, and she said, I do wish you'd stop talking to me. Thank you. But I do think there's like times when you should have pauses. Like we're buying stuff for my kid's birthday party, and the cashier's like, what are you getting all this stuff for? And I'm like, oh, we're having a birthday party for 32-year-olds. And I meant to say 32-year-olds, but she just heard like a party of people who are all like, man, I can't afford a house. This is terrible. Okay, how do I end this? I don't know. One of the things in New York City I thought was so funny was my daughter, when she was 5, she was kicked in the neck by another 5-year-old, which is crazy, right? And so like I went to the principal and I was like, why is my daughter getting kicked in the neck? And this is what the principal, she said. She said, boys will be boys. Yeah, and it was a very weird moment, because the most feminist thing I could have done in that moment was kick the principal in the neck. All right, have a good night. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Awesome, thank you. It was really a lot of fun. You good? Okay, so, wasn't that fun? Yeah. It's really been great. You've been a wonderful audience. People, I see that, people say that on comedy shows, so. It's your turn, so if we could have the house lights up. Let me say this about that. The comedy workshop usually meets on the 4th Thursday of every month. August and September will be the same. The 4th Thursday in August will be a workshop. So you can come and pitch and tell jokes and try your material out or just be a supportive audience member. And the 4th Thursday in August will be the show. So that will be at 7 o'clock, like this one. And that.
Wait, you mean September?
I mean, September is good. The 4th in September is going to be another show. The 4th in August is going to be another workshop where you can kind of get your gears going. The shows are at 7. And be sure you're signed up on the lava list if you want to keep finding out about these and the other great things that happen here. So that show will be 100% political. The September show is going to have political content. Who is going to be our first person to go, I just heard a great joke. I know a great joke. I have to share it with you guys. I know we have memory problems. Okay, stand up. Stand up, Miss Oprah style here. All right. Clap it up for Liz. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Wait, we'll find out.
This is the only joke I remember. Why did the chicken cross the road?
Why?
To get to the other side.
I have a cartoon about that.
Oh, I do have a joke.
No, I don't have a joke about that. It's a cartoon right now. It's poorly drawn. I couldn't, it was eliminated from this tonight's show. Okay. Who's next? Who's next?
I do. I have a joke.
All right, hold on a second. All right. Can you stand up?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Okay, so here.
No F-bombs. Come on. No.
Let's see. Try to remember this.
You're gonna need a mic.
Okay. So there was a guy who
Talk
was.
into the microphone.
What? Sorry.
Right into it.
Okay. Okay. There was a guy who went to a brothel and he was very eager, and the madam said to him, "I'm sorry that everybody's taken. You know, there aren't any available reservations for this evening." And he was so disappointed, and he also seemed kind of apparently under the influence of something. And so she said, okay. So she had a inflatable doll. And so she set up the inflatable doll and she said, you know, you can go down the hall, the room on the end is where your person is for the evening. And so he went and he came back and she said, you know, how did it go? And he said it was great, but at the very end, she farted and flew out the window.
I hate when that happens. Okay, the first fart joke of the evening, all right.
So this joke was my dad's joke. So I heard this joke, I'm going to say 65 years ago. And I remembered it. So anyway, a husband goes into the store and decides it's a good time to buy his wife a present, and it's going to be a bra. So he goes into the store and he doesn't really know what size to get. So he talks to the clerk and says, I want a bra for my wife. Can you help me? And she says, okay, well, what size? He says, I don't know. Well, sort of like lemons. And he says, no. And she says, oranges? No. Grapefruit? No. Well, what size? What are they like? And he says, poodle's ears.
I'm speechless. I kind of want to say something about it. I hope you had a good therapist. Oh, okay, you can do this,
Okay, so we don't know this often, but there is in heaven little places that people can go to get together, and there was this little snark session, and sitting in this snark session this afternoon are Buddha and Jesus, and Buddha says, why do they always make me fat? And Jesus says, I understand. He says, why do they always make me blonde and blue-eyed?
It's very progressive, thank you. Who's got something? Emily's holding it in. Should we escape or chide the person whose phone is going on? We're good? Okay, that's good. I'm not worried. Are you worried? All right, who's got a joke? We can end this session. So the group, as a group, we're still going for our solid 5. That's the first stage in comedy, is to get to a solid 5 minutes. So collectively, we have a couple minutes to go to get to our solid 5. That's an opening set. So we're going to transition now into our gallery.